I'm Erin Tonkon. I'm a producer, engineer, and mixer, and I'm here at Dr. Wu's studio in Williamsburg. I've been working on a lot of different projects lately, and when I'm mixing, I'm using a lot of Eventide plugins, as always. What I'm going to talk about today specifically is how I've been using Tverb in a lot of different ways that I've discovered since we initially launched Tverb. I've discovered all these cool new uses for it, so I want to show you what I've done. Okay, so this is a song, it's called Love Grenade. The artist is Fiona Silver. I've been producing, engineering, and mixing her record. She's super talented. Her album's going to be out soon. I've been relying heavily on Eventide plugins for this one. Now this one in particular, I did not record the drums. They were recorded super well at Rad Studios in Brooklyn. But one of the problems I had when I received this is I really needed for this song in particular a good room sound. And the room mic was not recorded for the specific take that I chose. So that's a bummer. That's a huge problem. There's not much I can do about that. I can't, we didn't really have the time to go back in and re-record drums to get a room sound. So what am I gonna do? Well, what I can do is I've got all my drums bused to a drum aux, like I usually do. I've got Omnipressor on there, because it's awesome. And I need a natural sounding drum room. I don't want it to sound like any sort of overly processed reverb. I don't want anything to take away from the attack I'm getting on the drums, but this song's kind of like this ballad that builds and gets really huge. And I want the feeling of there's this drummer in this giant cavernous studio, and it's powerful and it's exciting. And I found the best option for that is Tverb. So I use Tverb in this situation. And first let's just hear what it sounds like with just Omnipressor, which sounds awesome. But what I had was the drums sounding They did a good job. It's a good drum room sound. Did some mixing, or good drum sound rather, but there's no room sound. So for this particular conundrum, I've used Tverb as a send rather than an insert. I didn't want to lose any of the attack on the drums, any of that power, any of that build, but I wanted it to sound like it was in a room. So I set up a bus and I put Tverb on my new stereo aux. And for this in particular, I don't really care. I don't need a gate. I shut off the gate on the second and third microphone. It's awesome because there are a lot of options to do a lot of different sort of fine-tuning in Tverb. But even when you just throw it up, it kind of sounds really good. And I'm still leaving my first microphone in. I've got some pretty heavy compression on it. Just, I can have it and it can add another sort of color to my drum sound. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when I'm getting a drum room sound, I like the high end that kind of leaks from the cymbals, the crack of the snare. But I'm going to want to get a little bit of that 300 hertz out, so I just took down 2 dB. Super simple. I raised the decay a little bit just to have that bigger, more dramatic sound. And this is what it sounds like with Tverb. So again, real quick, I'm just going to play the dry drums. And now, whoa. That's like exactly what I would go for if I was getting a drum room sound. I didn't have to go back and re-record drums, didn't have to panic and lose sort of that element of this song. So I'm using Tverb as well on some vocals. Here I have it as another send. I actually just used the choir at Hansa Bus because it sounds really good. Without Tverb. It sounds really good, but it's just kind of like, here's a drummer right behind the vocalist, and you can hear how, like, for this song, I really wanted a lot of, reverb and space on her voice, and it would suck if I didn't have the opportunity to get a drum room sound, because then it just doesn't match. And mixing is all about making everything sound like it's happening in the same room at the same time, and it's like this cohesive arrangement. No Tverb. Tverb. Another thing I love about Tverb as this drum room sound is it's getting kind of an equal balanced stereo image of the drum room sound. It's not favoring any one side, which is kind of a cool thing about getting to create your own drum room. I basically just use the two microphones and pan them left and right. I linked the two, which I didn't end up using, but when I was testing out and just seeing if I wanted to use a gate, it was super easy because I knew I wanted that left and right microphone to sound the same, and got to just try them both out at the same time. And yeah, I'm super happy that Tverb came and saved the day and saved this track, and it's sounding really good now, and I think I'm getting close to a final mix, and Fiona's super happy with how big the drums are sounding. So thanks, Eventide, you saved the day again.